Too many people who suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder feel that they're alone. Truthfully, what you need to do is get out there. Get out there right away, talk with somebody, and get your message out as much as you can. My name's Nick Tabor. I'm a personal trainer. I talk about this because I've lived through it. Now, the time of recording this last night, I actually had a great discussion with my friend Cindy. You can look her up on here on YouTube for Prairie Dodgers. She does a lot of stuff about mental health, and we clicked very quickly when we reached out, when we met each other for the Evan Carmichael Thought Leadership Conference, and became good buds, really. Became really good buds, and she's so interesting. We had a live discussion, which I'm hoping to try to figure out how to record that and post snippets of it here, because it didn't let me record it. It didn't let me save it on my phone. Bummed out. Anyways, I will be bringing that part of it, and wanted to do this video as soon as I got up and I realized it wouldn't post, so it's on to me, We gotta make sure the message gets out. We gotta make sure we do this. So get up, just do your thing, man. Do your thing and don't fear, right? Yeah. Post-traumatic stress disorder is super serious. It is something that is incredibly misunderstood. It is only, I think a lot of people still think it is just for war. We cannot live with that it's just, he had post-traumatic stress disorder, sometimes known in the Vietnam era as people who have had shell shock, is what they call it, but it is real. Post-traumatic stress disorder is the PTSD, commonly known as it, is when your feelings that you have as a result of massive trauma that you've had in your life, and it could be a major situation of something that happened that is highly traumatic, or it's a series of things that happened and then you had one incident that threw it all for a loop. That is what I had. I'm going to be completely transparent for you. I have been in therapy for PTSD for about 3 years, and as of right now, at the time of recording this, I have finally gotten to a point where I don't need to see my therapist every week, and I'm just about once a month now. But I constantly, keep progressing, and I still talk about it because I firmly believe that, we live in the best age for mental health. Hands down. We have so many resources and we have so many people that we can talk to, and people are much more accepting of it. When I grew up in the 90s, this was the walk it off era, is what I like to call it. Not many people knew about it, and I include myself in this, is that if you had a bad day, you simply just did your best to get around it and, did the next day. Nobody outright talked about stuff, about, kid stuff. Nobody talked about the fact that that girl rejected you. Nobody talked about the fact that you got a 0 on a test, or you got beat up. It wasn't the thing you chatted about. It was just you did something else to distract you and you moved on. Post-traumatic stress disorder is real, no matter what it is. For myself, I've talked about this in videos, I've had a series of issues that all through my life. I've been beat up as a kid. I was bullied. I, grew up with cerebral palsy. I had massive, and many things that happened from that. I had many other issues, and childhood, generally, outside of school, was pretty good. I mean, I had some friends, I had some people who helped me out with things, but things carried. I had many deaths in my family as well, and I'm a person who I was not naturally prone to change. I was not a person who was used to it. I've been with the same woman 18 years. I've lived in the same area almost all my life. I had a day job of nearly, next year is going to be 14 years. Same circle of friends almost all my life. And, I'm used to borrowing and getting used to it. So any change thing, just like, oh shoot, bro, like it mentally took a lot to get used to. I had a death on my 10th birthday for a friend of mine who passed from he was a drinker and he drowned. And it took me 15 years to get over that death. And, well, actually, I'd say more like 20, 25, but regardless, it's not about everything I do. But my day job, I had there was an incident I was on April 23rd, 2016. The company was kind of in a little bit of turmoil because we were in the midst of a merger at the point and we were being bought out by a larger company. I was told they're like, hey, there's an issue. We really need your help. There's a dude who's been in personal. We're trying to get into the bathroom. We need your help. All right, get in there, and he's got a heroin needle jammed in his arm. He's passed out, and blood is oozing from his mouth, and he's already purple. I mean, there's just no next to nothing we could do at that point. And but we started administering CPR, started working on trying to save this dude, and working and pounding, and I did it for about almost 20 minutes to the point of exhaustion, talking with the 911 operator until the police got there, and then walked home, with the guy's blood on my pants and stuff. And that was like a hefty bag that just ripped open. Like, if you think about it, like you have this is like a perfect explanation of what is, the result of it, what you deal with mentally. Is if you have a hefty bag of trash and all that trash is everything that you dealt with, and you put that in the trash bag and you just put it away and stowed it away, that was the knife that ripped the trash bag open and tossed everything in my life out. And I had to deal with every trauma right in my face for a while, and that's what sent me into intensive therapy. Also sent me to the life mission of helping people with anxiety, depression, and getting over, getting onward with disabilities, because I firmly believe everybody can have a great thing and we all can climb. Now, what do we do with post-traumatic stress disorder? First things first, and credit to Cindy Jean for this. There's a point where you're gonna have thoughts and you're going to go into a hole and you're gonna think a lot. You need to trace back your thoughts and you need to catch yourself. So when you have that moment and you're like, oh God, train yourself to catch yourself at that point and say, why am I doing this? Why am I here? What brought this on? Because, usually what happens is a thought, trigger point. And then you got to go all the way back to what was that point where you're here, and then you can dig back and you can figure it. Because step 2, when you're at that point, you have to go back to your roots and what is that trauma. Excuse me, it's live, we can't stop it. What is that trauma? What is that particular point that said, this is where it roots from, this is what the trigger point is? Because step 1 is you go back and you catch yourself of, oh my God, I'm having a thought. Then you got to dig back and find out what that is, what happens. At the Evan Carmichael Thought Leadership Series conference, I wanted to give special shout out to Alex Sayan, who is awesome, an amazing buddy of mine, and my spiritual little brother, who dug out the root cause of every trauma I ever had in my life. I was 11 years old and I was beat up in the bathroom and in school. And I was told that because I had cerebral palsy, I should die and get out of the way because more able-bodied people will help me. More able-bodied people will be able to help the world. I am nothing. And there were people who I thought were friends of mine who were doing this. And once I revisited that moment to the point where I could almost smell the bathroom, it was the most freeing experience I have ever had, because then I confronted it. I did a video, which hopefully will be out at some point, where we had to do this foundational story video and about the most painful moment in their life. And I felt like a Field of Dreams moment where that 11-year-old pushed out of me and started walking away. And it was like Field of Dreams where Kevin Costner's dad walked away and said, "It's okay. I got it." And I burst into tears. This is the most painful part, is confronting that moment where you have had your biggest pain, but it is your biggest growth point. Because right there, that's the point where you hit that deep end of the pool, you hit the end, you hit the floor of the pool, and you bounce back up. Trust me, it is painful, but it is exhilarating. Trust me. And once you hit that point, then you start helping others. I, like Evan Carmichael, believe that everybody is built to serve. In some way, I am doing these videos for the world, for whoever is listening, to be able to say, I'm here, I've been through it, hopefully I can help you. The final step you want to do, and we've talked about this before, get your tribe around you. You have groups of people who you talk to, friends at work, friends you've had for years, people who you have had a discussion with about anything, family members, whoever. It's usually about 5, 6 people possibly, but you can talk with anything about them. And they may not be ready to hear this. It's okay. But you can talk about it. If they're not ready, they will hopefully tell you and move on, but you will find people, and the more you're open about it, the right people will come to you. The more I started talking about it, we had really good friends of ours, Dan and Jocelyn, who have had a lot going on in their lives, and they're an excellent, excellent couple. And we hang out with them every single week. We talk about anything under the sun, and we hold each other up. You know, that's the friend tribe. We talk about it. I talk about my parents. I talk about it with a few coworkers, and I talk about it obviously with my wife. Anything, but we can just let it out. And if you do those 3 steps, from somebody who's been through it, I recommend it. And if you're hurting, it is okay. If you're hurting, I understand. If you're hurting, know that you are loved. 100%. You are absolutely loved. And I want you to be great. Go ahead and check out one of the last videos that we've done on how to get out of bed and how to be able to get out of depression. So take that video right there. Why don't we go ahead and do that? Continue to climb. I will see you there.